Well, hi everyone, and welcome to the Infinity Futures Daily Trading video. My name is Raleigh White, and I'm here to talk to you about the trades we took in our live trading room on Thursday, November 20th, 2014. Well, looking at today's economic calendar, we can see there were a number of key things on tap that we needed to be aware of. At 7:30, we had the release of the Consumer Price Index data, which was slightly higher than expected, with a value of an even 0% versus an estimate decrease of 1/10 of a percentage point. Then we had the Core Consumer Price Index data come out, which was in line with expectations at 0.2%. Then we had the unemployment claims data being released, which came in higher, with 291,000 new jobless claims being filed versus an estimate of 286,000, but this level does represent the lowest level since 2000. At 8:45, we had the release of the flash manufacturing PMI, which was lower than expected at 54.7 versus 56.2. This is one of those indexes where anything above 50 indicates manufacturing expansion, anything below 50 would be contraction. Then at 9 o'clock, we also had the release of the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index, which was significantly higher than expected, with a value of 40.8 versus an estimate of 18.9. Then we had existing home sales released, which was higher, with a projection that 5,260,000 new homes would be sold over the coming year versus a prior forecast of 5,160,000. And then lastly, we had the release of the natural gas storage data, which came in lower with a drawdown of 17 billion cubic feet versus an estimated drawdown of 12 billion cubic feet of natural gas. As far as today's pre-market sentiment was concerned, things were fairly negative coming into the open. Now, the Asian markets had closed mixed after key economic reports. We saw that Japanese exports had risen 9.6% over the prior year, but China factory data output shrunk for the first time in nearly 6 months. The best performing market in Asia was the Japanese Nikkei. It closed up a full percentage point as the weaker yen was helping export shares, in particularly Honda, Nikon, and Canon, which were all up nearly 2%. On the flip side, though, the worst performing markets were the Australian market, where it was down 1 full percentage point as the mining sector continued to slip on softer metals pricing, and the Korean Kospi was off 0.5 of a point as the weaker Japanese yen was hurting demand for Korean products and services. As far as the European markets are concerned, they were open but trending lower on disappointing factory data. Now, the Eurozone composite flash PMI for November actually retracted to a level of 51.4 versus a forecast of 52.2. We saw that the German PMI came out at 52.1, which was at 16-month lows, and France's PMI was at 48.4, slightly higher than the prior month, but still in contraction. Sentiment in Europe was also weighed by a slide in the energy and mining sectors as low iron prices and oil prices were impacting shares of energy and mining companies. As far as the United States is concerned, Wall Street figured to open up lower after the release of the Fed meeting minutes. Now, the futures were down coming into the open following the global markets lower, and after the Fed minutes yesterday indicated that they were very concerned about slowing global growth. Focus for many folks today would be on U.S. banks after the Senate found evidence that key U.S. companies like Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, and Morgan Stanley had manipulated prices and gained unfair advantage at the expense of consumers in the commodity markets. Focus also for U.S. investors would be on today's flash manufacturing PMI report, which is due out at 8:45, the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index at 9 o'clock, and existing home sales and FOMC member Mester speaking today. As far as my trading activity is concerned, I only saw 4 opportunities to enter the market, but unfortunately I was not filled on any of those, but I'd like to share with you what I was looking at. But before I do that, I do need to remind everyone of this following important disclaimer, and that is that trading futures involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your circumstances, knowledge, and financial resources, as you may lose all or more of your initial investment. And always remember that past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Well, turning to the charts, I'd like to begin here with the E-mini S&P 500. And we can see here right at the open of the trading session, we had two consecutive bars moving lower, followed by one bar retracing and a second bar retracing. And I was hoping that this bar here would retrace and give me a short entry at 2039 and a quarter. But what happened is this next bar opened up, it moved through what would have been my profit target, and when that happened I had to take this trade out. And I'm glad I did, because had I left it in the market I would have gotten filled on my way to my stop loss. Next opportunity I saw was in the E-mini Dow market, and looking at this market, this was also at the beginning of the trading session. You can see we had two consecutive bars moving lower, followed by one bar retracing and a second bar retracing, and I was hoping for a two-bar pullback with an entry short here at 175.87. Well, this bar did the same thing that the E-mini S&P 500 did. It opened up, it didn't take any steps towards my entry. It moved through my profit target, and when that happened I had to take this trade off. And once again, I'm glad I did, because I would have gotten filled on my way to my stop loss. Next, I saw an opportunity in the Euro FX futures market. And looking here, this was towards the tail end of the trading session. You can see that we had 3 bars moving lower, followed by one bar retracing and a second bar retracing. And I was really hoping that this second bar was going to retrace and give me a short entry here at 125.42, just below the upper Bollinger Band. But you see, we never got enough of a retracement here in this bar, and I had to take this trade off. That led me to the gold market. And looking at gold, I saw an opportunity here towards the tail end of the trading session, and I felt certain that I was going to get a fill here on this trade. This was something that I sort of felt was coming. You can see that we had 1, 2, 3 or more consecutive bars moving lower, followed by one bar retracing, and I was looking for this second bar to come up here and retrace and give me a short entry at 1191.6, just below the upper Bollinger Band. We came within about 6 ticks of getting the fill, but then the market fell away, and I had to take this trade off. So during the trading session, folks, I was involved in 4 attempts, and I didn't have any fill in those, but I did come back in the afternoon and look to see if there were some other opportunities to trade, and I did see some in the crude oil market that I'd like to share with you. Now, I like to trade the crude oil market in the afternoon between the hours of 12:30 and 1:30 Central Time. That's represented by this gray highlighted area here. At 1:30, this is when the crude oil pits close. And so coming into the 12:30 time frame here, you can see that over lunch we had established the 75.42 here as a minor area of resistance, and so as prices came up to this level, I was sitting here short at 75.42. I had a profit target of 10 ticks down at 75.32 and my stop loss at 10 ticks at 75.52. Well, the market came up to me, filled me, and then moved immediately against me and knocked me out for a 10-tick loss. This put me down $100 per contract traded. So staying with the crude oil market, you can see that prices were just kind of bouncing around a little bit, and then we had a big bar pushing up, and then we had a retracement, and then we had a column of X's going up. And when this market came back and retraced, I was sitting here with a long entry off this minor area of support at 75.58, and at this point in time I was just looking for a 5-tick profit, a quick scalp. So I had a 5-tick profit, I had a 10-tick stop loss. I got my fill, the market turned away, moved in my direction. When it moved to my profit target, I did move my stops to break even to make sure that if I wasn't filled here, that the market would not drop me out for a loss. But I was filled, picked up 5 ticks, and that put me down $50 per contract on the trading session. And as we moved on into the crude oil, towards the close of the crude oil pits here, you can see we had a big column of X's going up, and then these retraced. This created an area of resistance for me, and this level right here was an area of support. So as we got to that point in time, we were closing in. We were within 5 minutes of the close of the pits. I had a short entry here for a quick little fade at 75.90, and I had a long entry in the market here at 75.58. So what happened here is the market came up to my entry point here, but I noticed that there were several hundred contracts that were sitting here. I did not get my fill, and the market moved away from me, which is a shame, because this could have been a nice 5 or 10 tick pickup up for me. But then, as you can see, the market moved back in this direction. I was expecting to get a fill here to go long, but the market never came there and move away from me, and I had to take this trade out. So all said and done today, folks, I had 6 attempts in the market. I had 2 fills, 1 winner and 1 loser, and I ended the day down $50 per contract traded. Looking forward to seeing what kind of opportunities might present themselves tomorrow. Well, looking at tomorrow's economic calendar, you can see that there's really nothing scheduled whatsoever. There might be some change in that if something could occur overnight, and if so, I'll update that. But at this point in time, there are no major news or events that are scheduled whatsoever. So that means tomorrow is going to be kind of interesting. We won't have any catalysts to move the markets, and hopefully we'll see some nice opportunities to trade. And with that, I'd like to thank you all for watching today's daily video. I wish you a pleasant evening. I look forward to speaking to you tomorrow. Take care and good night.